I opened my art studio in my 60s. I only started painting or really getting into it about 4 years ago. I was diagnosed with PTSD and I just needed something to do to stop all the overthinking and something that gave me some time out and a focus on beauty. I wanted to create like some of the paintings that I really loved. So I watched some YouTube videos, a lot of YouTube videos, so that I could learn how to do it. And I just kept practicing. I had all this time on my hands and some days it was hard just to get out of bed, but I would look forward to just doing a little bit of painting because it felt like playing. I painted a lot of paintings and I just kept wanting to paint bigger and bigger ones. And I was living, or still am, living in a little small space on the water and the paintings were getting boxed in around me. And I thought, I have to either decide to stop painting or find somewhere to do this that I can leave some of these paintings and have more room. I was isolating a lot at this time in my own little world. And so anything to go beyond that felt really big. I procrastinated a lot. I made lots of lists, pros and cons, trying to decide what I could do. I didn't have much money, so I decided to dip into my superannuation because I thought this is something that will be really good for my health, as well as it's something that I really wanted to do. And I didn't have to ask for permission. It was just for me. In my mind, I was just going to get a shed or somewhere where I could at least even store the paintings that I was painting. But I couldn't find one. I looked everywhere and I just couldn't find a space. I kept walking past this vacant shop in the marina and I thought, no, I don't want to shop, it's too visible. But one day I was talking to the owner and I just happened to make a ridiculous offer on it. And to my surprise, he accepted the offer. So that of course snowballed. I then had to quickly think, how am I going to get into this space? What am I going to do with it? I was so lucky I had a really good friend at the time who helped me to put furniture together and source furniture. My daughter and son-in-law jumped on board and helped me find second-hand stuff to put around, and slowly it all just came together. But of course I would have to pay the rent on the place. So I thought, I'll just do some paint and sip classes. I'd taught before, so it shouldn't be too hard. I advertised and people came along to the classes. I really enjoyed it. I thought they enjoyed it, but I was finding it was exhausting and it wasn't leaving me any time to actually do the painting that I loved and the painting that was so healing for me. I had this sort of feelings that I didn't want to sell my paintings. They all had meaning to me. And it felt that if I sold the actual painting, that I was giving a part of myself away. So I held them all really close to me. The moment I decided to let them go, I sold 3 in one day. It was over though. I went straight back to isolating in the studio this time. I put some blinds on the windows that were out the front and just would pull them down so I could paint in private and have the space to myself. I had a yoga mat out there and I could do a little bit of yoga, something else I didn't have room for where I was living. So I was feeling like it was all starting to come together. But people were starting to ask, could they come inside and look and see what I was doing? Because it is, after all, a shop. And so one day I thought, I'll just get an open sign and see what happens. I'll just put it on the window. And of course, people came in. But I got to talk to some of the best people, and I still do. They come and they look at my art and then they show me their art. And it's a great experience. And then I get to spend the rest of the time painting or doing whatever it is that I'm doing in here. People coming into the studio, of course, they were inquiring about my art and if they could buy it. And one of the things I really had to start thinking about was the prices I was going to put on the art and upping my standards with things like certificates of authenticity and making sure the paintings were finished off properly and ready to hang, naming the paintings, a whole lot of work involved in them, but it was enjoyable work. So I just sort of one day at a time started preparing things to look more professional and look more like a shop. And now people come in and when I've got the sign out, and I really love that. I also put out a table and chairs out the front and gardens, and I'll drop a clip in of that. And this means that I can have visitors that walk past with their dogs, and there's a dog bowl out the front that I've put there for dogs to have a drink. And I get to chat to those people and have a coffee. It's really relaxed, it's quite social, and I love it. I now really love doing window displays and of the things that I've done. I'm putting my work in the windows and watching people put their faces up against the glass when they go to look in. I've got a frame that sits right in the window. I'll see if I can add that little clip in, and people look through the frame to see what's going on inside. I can't have a garden where I live either, but I really enjoy gardening, and I noticed that there was some lemon trees out the front that were looking a bit sad. So I decided to make them my mission, and I now look after the lemon trees, and I planted some petunias and other flowering things underneath, and they all look beautiful. I'll show you that one as well. And I also put some garden boxes in and flowers and strawberries and other things that are growing around. And as I'm watering them, I'm chatting to people, and it's a lovely little community to have now. So even though I thought I was going to be isolating in here, this art studio has been so much more than just a place for me to paint. It's brought me out of myself, and it's made me realize that there's so much more to healing than just the things that I was doing, and that taking one step at a time opens up the window for the next step and the next step and the next.